Thank you, gentlemen. To inaugurate the summit, I invite the guests present on the dais to kindly light the lamp. Oren, Chairman of the conference, organizer, Global Dialogue Forum, to deliver the opening remarks.
Thank you, Susan. It's a delight called the Global Dialogue Security Summit. We at Global Dialogue Forum, think tank and Global Dialogue Review Foreign Policy Journal, believe in getting the participation of a whole spectrum of stakeholders in this vital process of security, and especially in India, its neighborhood and far beyond. This will be the substance of our conference, in fact. We are including in this conference, beside the avowed, the topics are beside the avowed national objectives of neighborhood first, BIMSTEC, and the outreach towards the prosperous East. We also have for us, for the first time here, we are talking a lot about potential of cyber and space in the security area. We believe they are drivers of peace and otherwise in the coming years of the century. We're privileged to have with us on the dais a distinguished panel.
I'm also humbled by the fact that I have very distinguished panel of speakers. Excellency Sunil Bahadur Thapa, the former Minister of Industries of Nepal, and he's the General Secretary of the National Democratic Party United. Dr. Varaprasad Dola, the Professor of Chinese Studies, and Brigadier General Dr. Iqbal Azim of Bangladesh University of Professionals. This session, we have been asked to discuss many roads lead to an inclusive vision, bridging nations in peace and prosperity. I think it's a very challenging issue when the world, and particularly countries in our neighborhood, are discussing about maritime security, its architecture, and you heard in the forenoon sessions that challenges to this region which we are undergoing. But before I hand over the mic and invite Excellency Thapa, let me make a few points. Very often we tend to forget as to who are we securing the oceans and borders for. Why are we deploying such expensive assets to secure the sea lanes of communication? What is it that we will achieve ultimately? Well, our focus is people and their well-being, and that is what we tend to forget.
Nepal has immense water resources which can serve as springboard for regional cooperation. With potential for matching the energy deficit in the region, Nepal has adopted a pro-investment policy for attracting investment in hydropower projects. One of the areas in which regional cooperation is a must is in the area of regional energy trade. There is also an urgency to connect the regional transmission oil and gas pipeline in the region energy grid. This is a renewed interest in our regional association for among major powers and regional associations. South Asia as a region has remained introvert when it comes to connectivity to other regions. Regional economic integration cannot develop in vacuum. It demands active participations of private and increased inter-regional investments.
What I intend to do today is to essentially look at two pertinent themes. A, India and China. B, the new multilateral order. The rationale for looking at these two important issues is primarily because of the way in which both these are deeply interconnected, particularly looking at how China is expanding its global footprint across the world, and how we in India need to evolve our own perspective, our own strategies.
Soil, it just may throw out certain materials which are the future rare earth materials. And if all the future rare earth materials have gone, I think we have to go to the space, and we have space experts here. We are already going around the moon, we are landing on the moon, but 50 years behind when the man has already landed on the moon. Our future technology and latest technology is just about 50 years behind that somebody put the man on the moon, and now we would land on the moon and maybe do some research work there. And I'm told that there is a future that a civilization is going to be built on the moon, and there would be moon stations looking at the Earth. From there, you don't have to have too many satellites, because there's a satellite, natural satellite, where you make the moon station, which will keep looking at the Earth.
I don't mind, we can have an interaction and try to learn more about it. Now, when you talk about in cyber, sea, land and space, the future war, and how the AI is going to impact that, let's just deliberate about the history, how the history of battle space is evolved. Generally, as you all know, that it is battle space is was shaped by proactive dominant powers earlier, like Asian, European, and Americans. And right now it is maybe US, USSR, and China. And also, it is also the shaping of war and is basically governed by the strong points of the particular dominant force, which has changed with time. Initially with UK, with the marine forces, they have come through sea. Then, of course, being an industrial power, US and Europeans, they have focused on tanks, ships, planes, and artilleries. And of course, nuclear power, and then NATO countries coming through ITC, net-centric warfare, and now, presently, US, USSR, as well as the Chinese, if you say AI. Now, what will be the doctrine is to be explored, which is what we are going to do now.
Geopolitics and Eurasia have a very deep connection. Concept of Eurasia is of very late origin, whereas the concept of geopolitics has been in existence since the times of Chanakya, Sun Tzu, and Aristotle. In its modern form, geopolitics were born in the late 19th century in Germany. The German geographer Friedrich Retd, in his seminal works, Politische Geography, that is political geography, in 1897, and Laws of the Spatial Growth of States in 1896, he laid the solid foundation for geopolitics.
So, world order is actually in a constant flux, and I think it's from the imperial times only, because it's a transition from multipolarity to bipolarity to unipolarity, and now we see there is a tussle between retaining unipolarity to bipolarity to multipolarity or multilateralism. Why I said or, it is because in multipolarity we are talking about only few powers which might take the global stage. But in multilateralism, it is so called that every country will have a kind of a say in the equal platform in the international corporate community.
At the same time, development of Chabahar is critical for India's sustained presence and stamina in Afghanistan. And finally, we have to be mindful of the headwinds that we are going to face in the geopolitical whirlpool of Afghanistan. Therefore, what we need to do, we need to carry out a very pragmatic assessment of the new environmental realities there and deftly craft a comprehensive strategy to hedge our own interest and remain nimble-footed in the implementation of the chosen strategy.
It's a historical legacy that's now gaining its influence again.
Yeah, so according to me, it has to be, because we can dig out the cultural aspect from, rather than the geopolitical aspect from the past, because we had good relationship from the cultural, from the humanitarian and the people-to-people contact before the geopolitics got involved. So according to me, these three things should be focused more, and dialogue should be another one. So this is from my side.
1990-91, and there have been a lot of efforts. There are two really core points. We are trying to develop, we will not get connectivity through Pakistan. Now, let us be very clear, in foreseeable future. We are trying to develop through Chabahar, and because of American sanctions on Iran, that also will go slow. Then the way Afghanistan is going, and Taliban domination by all accounts will be there much more, and Taliban, in my view, will be hostile to India because of Pakistani instigation.
So going back to the main topic of the session, sir. So for any alliance, whether at a regional level or at a global level, you have to have security concerns, economic and energy, essentially. So as we see, what emerges is that possibly we do not have a conducive security environment right in between for a whole lot of reasons, because there is a lot of turmoil, security concerns, ISIS and terrorism. So it certainly creates a divide between Europe and Asia to make that dream come true.